And just like that, training camp is over. Tear. It's a little bit easier to digest, of course, because the regular season's right around the corner, which makes it that much more exciting. But there's always a little bit of, disappointment when training camp ends because it's just such an amazing part of the year. Welcome in, by the way. I'm your host, Andy Herman, today, and welcome to the PackADay podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can follow the podcast at PackADay Podcast. It is the end of training camp, and it ended in spectacular fashion with a joint practice against the Baltimore Ravens. Really sort of just the coup de grace of everything that you want to see at training camp. You get to see these two, I think, really impressive franchises go at it in practice. First of all, a shout out to both of these teams for handling their business the right way. There were no fights. There was one little small, special teams sort of ish. I wouldn't even call it like a scuffle, just like a slight verbal disagreement. And of all people, Keyshawn Nixon was the one to have the cool head and be like, let's calm down, everyone, which was incredible. So you can tell there was a real effort on both sides to make sure that this was a controlled environment, and it made for such a more enjoyable and productive practice than I think day 2 of New England last year, which was just fight after fight after fight, and they had to actually cancel practice early because of just both teams couldn't stop fighting basically. So this was a much more enjoyable experience, and kudos to both teams. This is our quick hits episode for the day. Quick shout out, first of all, to new member Marcus Chandler. Marcus, thank you so much for signing up. Appreciate you a ton. Also, want to remind you, make sure to sign up for Autograph. It is a brand new app. You can download it on your phone. You can use the code PackADay to get in. It is absolutely worth your time. It is a one-stop shop for all of your Packers news or any other favorite team that you have want to follow in great detail. Has all your favorite podcasts for the team, all your favorite news articles for the team, all in one spot, plus exclusive content. I'll be having a exclusive things to watch for in Packers Ravens video coming out on Friday. So make sure to download the app and of course check that out as well. All right, here were the main takeaways from practice. Before we get to our, sort of 3, big player names or things like that I want to talk about, or 3 big items, let me just give you sort of a synopsis of this practice as a whole. I thought this was a phenomenal day of practice for the Packers. Now, I'll get the bad news out of the way first. Love had a interception that he threw to Roquan Smith over the middle of the field. Didn't see him. This has been a little bit of a trend for Jordan with his interceptions over the middle of the field. Defender he didn't see. Defender jumps it. A lot of times it's on a specific, whether it's a play action and then you throw that quick slant on the back end. But a lot of times it's on these plays that it's like the design of the offense, but you can't just throw it blind. You still have to see the defender and see where your throw is going. And on this one, he didn't. And Roquan Smith jumped it and would have been a big interception on the play. And actually, I take it back. That one was more of like middle of the field. He still didn't see him. I don't think it was a specific play design. The second one where he threw to Roquan, where Roquan dropped it, he did have more of that play design that was supposed to go to the receiver. Didn't see Roquan, didn't look ahead. And Roquan, thankfully, dropped that one. But 2 big interceptable plays for Jordan Love. Outside of that, it was a little bit of a slow start, but I thought he had a really great day, especially in red zone, which we'll go over in just a moment. Greg Joseph missed a field goal, and it was a tough day run blocking for the Packers offense. Those are your negatives for the day. About everything else, offense, defense, special teams went pretty darn well for the Packers, and I thought it was a great, productive day of practice for Green Bay. And while I was not in Denver and watching the Denver joint practices a week ago, by all accounts, this was a night and day difference in how they practiced, their energy level, the results, all of it from what we saw and heard against the Broncos last week. All right, let's start by talking about sort of the things that really went well in this one, and it was the red zone, first of all. Offensively, you had Michael Pratt get a touchdown to Ellis Merriweather in the flat. This is one of those where it's going to be a blitz off the edge. Your running back's going to come clean. You have to read it quick. You have to get it out quick. He did. Merriweather's open in the flat, and he's able to outrace the defender to the pylon for the end for the touchdown into the end zone. So really nice read and throw there from Michael Pratt. He then had another screen that was successful. They are starting to pick these up a little bit, and it's not maybe a surprise that Tucker Kraft's been involved in a few of these. Tucker Kraft, tight end screen in the red zone, set up beautifully, has the blockers, gets in the end zone, easy touchdown for Green Bay there. There has been this route in the red zone, and I talked about it a little bit the other day, where Romeo Doubs has this little, I don't even know like the full route of it, but he has this beautiful little comeback and right at the front pylon in the red zone. And For whatever reason, corners have been basically completely unable to stop it. It's a great route, and it's a great anticipation throw from Jordan Love. Jair had a pass breakup on it a couple days ago, which was like an eye-opener because usually nobody's close. Well, they ran it against the Ravens, and Dobbs executed it to perfection, and Dobbs was right in the front corner of the end zone. Love hit him perfectly, wide open, easy touchdown there from Love to Dobbs. That was a beautiful one. On the other side, Love throws a bit of a 50-50 ball up on a fade to Christian Watson, and Watson goes up and gets it over Kyle Hamilton, who is not short, and Watson wins that one, comes down with the big touchdown. That was another touchdown in the red zone period. Then Love to Dobbs at the pylon again. This was a little bit of a different route. It looked like more of just an easy out route, but one easy on that one again, and got the touchdown. Stevens was in coverage for the Ravens on both of those ones to Dobbs. You then had Michael Pratt go to Jaden Reed for a touchdown. So it was kind of cool to see some of the ones out there with Michael Pratt to see what he could do. And he hit Jaden Reed for a really nice play. Wiggins, their first round pick, was in coverage on that one. Then you had Pratt to Sims for a touchdown. And there were other positive plays too that either moved them closer to the red zone that weren't touchdowns. There's another play to Kraft where I actually think he would have gotten in. There was another red zone play where I think the running back would have powered in for the touchdown, but weren't technically touchdowns. It was an unbelievably dominant period. It was just positive play after positive play after positive play for the Packers offense. And usually those red zone drills are super competitive and they're really, really difficult. And we're about to talk about the other side. Now, I was watching the offense on the day. Matt Schneidman, Paul Brettel were watching the defensive side amongst others. But per Paul Brettel, the Ravens offense ran 15 plays in the red zone against the Packers defense, and the Packers only allowed 2 touchdowns on those 15 plays. Now, per Matt Schneidman, there was one pass interference on one of the other ones, which obviously would be a negative play as well. But per Schneidman, quote, constant pressure and sacks by the defensive line. And that's what I heard from a variety of different people too. I saw Preston Smith had a coverage sack. I think Wes Hodkiewicz tweeted that out. And it just sounded like there were a lot of plays that had to go off script for the Ravens because the Packers defensive front was consistently beating the Ravens offensive line up front. So in the red zone period, which was a huge portion of practice, you had the Packers offense completely take it to the Ravens defense. And then you had the Packers defense hold them to only 2 touchdowns on 15 plays in the red zone, which is a super impressive number. Then you got to the end and it was the 2-minute drills. And so the situation was basically like minute 30 left, own 30-yard line, 1 timeout, down by 3, 1st and 10. All right. Everyone went through this. They did six of these. So one with the 1s on offense, the 2s on offense, the 3s on offense, then one with the 1s on defense, the 2s on defense, and the 3s on defense. The Packers 3 opportunities on offense. Love drove them down the field for a field goal. It was a pretty easy field goal. They got a huge play to Romeo Doubs down the left sideline, which if you're nitpicking here, the only disappointment was that they weren't able to punch that one into the end zone because they had such great field position after that deep bomb to Romeo Doubs, but had to settle for the field goal, but still got the field goal for the tie. Michael Pratt then went down and got the tie as well. Huge play to Henry Pearson on a corner route to the right side. Beautiful throw on that one was the key play there. And then Sean Clifford goes down and gets drives them down to a field goal for the tie as well. So all 3 of their offenses move down the field and get them into field goal range. And the kickers, to their credit, Carlson with 1, Joseph with 1, both hit 50-yarders, and then Carlson hit a 30-yarder on his other one as well and made their field goals to tie the game in those red zone situations. On the opposite side, on the first one, the defense started off with a Kenny Clark sack of Lamar Jackson and just kind of got them out of rhythm to begin with. They had to use their timeout right away. They ended up getting in, I guess, sort of Justin Tucker field goal range. It was a 62-yarder to tie the game. He missed it. The defense won that one, and the Packers would have won by 3 in that scenario. With the number 2s, Josh Johnson at quarterback for the Ravens. He throws a pick over the middle to Evan Williams, who just continues to have a marvelous training camp. And then on the number 3s for defense, I didn't get to see a ton of it, but it was a turnover on downs for the Packers defense, and they won that one as well. So red zone on both sides dominated by the Packers. 2 minutes. Yes, you would have maybe liked to have seen some touchdown drives to the win, but you got 3 ties on the offensive side of the ball, and you shut down the Ravens on the defensive side on all 3 drives as well. All right, a few noteworthy, other pieces of practice. One, I mentioned this a little bit, but Tucker Kraft continues to be massively impressive, and his stock, to me, continues to go up. You guys know that I feel strongly about what I think Tucker Kraft can bring to this team. Loved what he did over the second half of last season. He had multiple crossing routes where he was open easily, was able to get upfield and gain extra yardage, had that screen play for the touchdown in the red zone, had a very big catch over the middle in the beginning of practice when, like I said, Love in the offense was starting a little bit slow, and that was what kind of got the offense going, was a big completion to Tucker Kraft over the middle. His run after the catch looks fantastic. He's trending up. He looks spry. He looks athletic. He looks like, everything you would have wanted him to be coming out of college as a third-round pick a season ago. His route running also looks better. He's finding more ways to get open. I know I highlighted him, late last week as well, but he continues to be super impressive for this Packers offense, and really, really excited to see what he can do once we get into the regular season. Next, I thought it was a really strong day for the backup quarterbacks as well. In fact, I would say this was Sean Clifford's best day of any of the offseason so far. And he struggled, certainly in multiple occasions, but this was a big day. He had a big time throw down to Malik Heath on like a 45-yard completion. Nate Wiggins also looked like he was in coverage on that one. And then also had a big play to Malik Heath over the middle of the field. And then, of course, led that 2-minute drive into field goal range. I thought overall, very efficient, very clean day from Sean Clifford. And then Michael Pratt, not to be outdone, he had a rollout play where Grant Dubose, I think, was on a corner route. He was either a corner or a deep crosser. I couldn't see the beginning of it. But Pratt just on an absolute laser hits him along the right sideline, probably a pickup of about 25 yards on the play. Had that fantastic throw to Merriweather in the red zone, had the touchdown to Reed and Sims in the red zone, and also led his team down for a field goal with the number 2s in the red zone period. So thought both backup quarterbacks, very nice day. And obviously Jordan Love, nice day as well, just had those couple of interceptable plays, one which was picked, one which was dropped. But outside of that, Love had a very nice day, especially in the red zone period as well. And then that gorgeous deep ball to Romeo Doubs in the 2-minute drill. And then last but not least, as the final key takeaway for this practice, I thought the pass pro from Green Bay's offensive line was phenomenal, especially with the ones, but I thought all throughout practice with Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt. The only time in the entirety of practice that Love really felt any pressure whatsoever, there was a lane for him to step up into. He stepped up, scrambled, and picked up good yardage on that. And that was like, they kind of got some pressure. It wasn't even, where he got sacked, obviously, or anything like that. And the rest of the day, it was like he had like all those long developing routes and the big play to the middle to Kraft and the deep one to Dobbs and everything. Those were some long developing plays, and he just had all day to throw the ball against a pretty darn good Ravens defense. So that was super encouraging to see. And overall, like I said, a couple plays that I'm sure Green Bay would like to have back. There's never any such thing as a perfect practice, but this was, if we're counting, in the scheme of things, that doesn't matter even remotely at all. If we're counting last week's practice against the Broncos as an L, this would be a pretty emphatic win for Green Bay in my books. And I thought they were the better team in practice through almost the entirety of the day. Outside of maybe some struggles early for Jordan Love in the offense, once they got into a little bit of a rhythm, it was game over. And the Ravens offense really didn't get anything going by all accounts on the opposite side of the field. Excuse me. All right, friends. That's going to do it for me for now. I will have a full breakdown of everything that happened at practice for tomorrow's episode. Make sure to tune into that. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, give those 5-star reviews. Always appreciate your support. It means the world. Shout out to our Hall of Fame and All-Pro members, Most Hated Minnesotan, PJ Wynn, John Wild, Shea Dad, Brandon Paletta, Jennifer Wright, Boom Handle, Donald Lee, Lori Lord, Baby QB, David McCluskey, Donald Decker, Dan Miller, Alex Wong, Arnaldo Espinoza, Peter Ataka, Caleb Cookster, SoCal Pack, Dan Guessford, and Love and Football. I'll see you guys soon, but until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.